Before we learn why it's advantageous to breathe through our nose compared to our mouth, we first need to understand why humans breathe in general. What is so important about breathing? Well, like most things, humans need fuel to survive. Cars use gas, plants need water and light. For humans, we need oxygen. We can live weeks without food, days without water, but only minutes without oxygen. Breathing serves two main purposes: inhaling oxygen and exhaling CO2. Step 1. Inhale oxygen. This oxygen enters the lungs and gets distributed to the body for making energy. Step 2. Exhale CO2. After our body uses oxygen, metabolic waste accumulates. This waste must be excreted out of the body. Groceries in, garbage out. Thanks to our lungs, we can take molecules in the air, like oxygen, and transport that oxygen to our body to make energy. After this fuel is made, metabolic waste accumulates. Our body transports this waste to the lungs so it can then be exhaled. Hold your breath too long and you will feel the urge to breathe. This feeling is the buildup of that metabolic waste, CO2, in your lungs. It is this buildup of CO2 that signals our bodies to breathe. Great, so now we know breathing in oxygen and exhaling CO2 is vital for life. So who cares whether it's coming through your nose versus your mouth? Well, the nose has over 30 functions to assist in breathing. The mouth has 0. We'll go over the most important of those 30 right now. First is filtration. Our nose is the first line of defense against debris, chemicals, irritants, and allergens in the air. The more our nose can filter, the less irritants survive the trip to the lungs. While the nose is filtering the air, simultaneously it heats and humidifies the air. Our lungs do not like cold or dry air. Breathing large volumes of unconditioned air into our lungs pulls away moisture from the inner walls of the airway. This can irritate the lungs and cause inflammation. Breathing through your mouth can be especially irritating for someone with asthma or exercise-induced asthma. Drying and cooling of the airway can contribute to inflammation of the lungs, creating a feeling of tightness in the chest, breathlessness, wheezing, or coughing. So do your lungs a favor. Use your nose. You can minimize irritation and maximize airflow. Along with filtration and humidification is airflow. Our noses have 50% more air resistance than the mouth. Wait, hold up. Did you say more resistance? How is more resistance good for you? Well, the lungs are large, deep organs located in the thoracic cavity, with our diaphragm right below them. For the lungs to work properly, we need to breathe deeply and slowly. It takes time for the air to go into the nose, down your throat, into the lungs, and then lastly into each alveolar sac. It's quite the journey. The slower we can breathe, the greater percentage of the lungs we can use. Speaking of, inside our lungs are air pockets called the alveoli. These are the sacs that deliver oxygen to the blood. These little guys are situated inside the lungs, top and bottom, but we can only utilize all of them if we breathe deep and slow enough. If we breathe too fast, the air never reaches all areas of our lungs. This will require us to breathe faster to get the same amount of oxygen absorbed, compared to someone breathing slower, utilizing all of the lungs. When we breathe fast and shallow through the mouth using our shoulders, it can stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, aka your fight or flight mode. Shoulder breathing can increase stress, blood pressure, heart rate, and lead to panic attacks. To make matters worse, when we are in a state of stress, our body uses less diaphragmatic breathing and defaults to upper respiratory breathing. It's a vicious feedback loop that needs to end. It takes time, and it's not easy at first, but if we can learn to breathe slower with the help of our nose, we can increase oxygen absorption while decreasing the amount of breaths we take a minute. This will increase vagal tone, the rest and digest state. When we are in this state, we can think more logically, increase problem-solving ability, and use more of our creative mind. How can you tell if you are breathing at an elevated pace? Well, do you experience cold hands and feet or feel anxious throughout the day? Do you snore or wake up with a dry mouth? If so, there's a good chance you are breathing fast and too shallow, using the wrong respiration muscles and not letting your body fuel up with proper amount of oxygen. Your blood vessels are constricted, your brain thinks it's running out of air, so it takes faster breaths, only making the situation worse. For more information on how breathing affects stress and how you can measure this, watch our video on stress and breathing.